I am so stoked for Scream, you guys. You have no idea. I don't know if you could tell. I forgot to show my shirt earlier. I have a Scream shirt. You want to see it better? You see? I love Scream. Hi, hello, how are you? How are you doing? I'm so happy you're here. Truly, I am, despite my face right now. As you can tell, maybe by the title, this is a horror themed, creepy, spooky, ooky themed episode. But I've had my own horror story this morning because I recorded this episode already and didn't get any audio. So here we are again, round two, doing it again, baby. This is the sequel because you have to have a sequel. But in all seriousness, I am excited about this episode, or the theme for this episode, because what's been on my mind this week is the release of Scream 7. And for anybody who knows me, anybody who knows a single thing about me, it is that Scream is my favorite horror movie. The first one is incredible, 10 out of 10, no notes, my favorite horror movie. And the Scream franchise is definitely my favorite horror franchise. I am a girl who likes horror movies.
There's a darkness inside of me.
I know that unfortunately there's been a lot of a mess, a bit of a ghetto situation around the production and casting of the Scream 7 movie. But nevertheless, Neve Campbell is incredible. Sydney Prescott is the final girl of my dreams. Scream is my favorite horror franchise, and the release of this movie is something that I am excited about. My butt will be in a seat on February 28th to watch this movie with Steven and my sister and my brother in law. He's a big horror fan as well. So he is flying up. Him and my sister are flying to come see us to specifically watch this film. So I am stoked. So these stories that I have picked today are all creepy, spooky, weird, strange stories, stalker stories. Let's just go ahead and get started. I already did this intro, you guys. Let's go ahead and let's get started. The first story here is coming from Creepy Encounters. It is 1 month old. It is coming from Solid Fox 635, and it is titled A Stranger Followed Me Home and Knew My Name. A few months ago, I was walking home from a late shift, maybe around 10:30 p.m., and noticed a man across the street who seemed to slow down every time I did. I stopped to check my phone, and he stopped too. I crossed the road, and he crossed right after me, no hesitation. At that point, I was fully alert, so I turned down a side street that leads to my flat, and I could hear his footsteps behind me getting closer. Truly a nightmare situation. I spun around and asked, "Can I help you?" And he just stared at me for a second too long before saying, "You dropped something," even though my hands were empty. When I said I didn't, he smiled and stepped closer and said my first name. I've never seen this man before in my life. I backed away, ran the rest of the way home, and didn't stop until I was inside and locked the door. I checked from the window and saw him standing at the end of the street, looking straight at my building before slowly walking away. I still take a different route home now, and I never wear headphones anymore. So, first of all, I'm not gonna lie, I do like to wear a headphone as I walk. I don't just willy-nilly walk by myself at 10:30 at night. Granted, I know you were walking home from a shift. You weren't just walking for the hell of it. You were coming back home from work. But again, I do usually like to listen to something when I go walk my dog around the block, but I always make sure that I only have one headphone in and that the volume of the music or podcast or whatever it is that I'm listening to is low enough that I can hear what's going on around me. I would always advise to anyone, please, 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 please never walk with both headphones in, completely drowning out all sound. You never know who's behind you and what's going to happen to you. So please be mindful of your surroundings and never just completely close out all sound while you are walking around, especially walking around late at night. That being said, I'm so happy that this didn't escalate to something creepier and worse. You weren't attacked or robbed or whatever else. But oh my God, like this is such a nightmare situation. Walking alone at night and someone is clearly tailing you. And when you run home and you look out your window, this person is like looking up at you at your building. They managed to continue following you, followed you to your building, and now they like have seen where you live.
Oh, hell no.
So if they're like crazy enough, they could come back. That is like truly, truly, truly a nightmare. I'm so proud of you for calling that person out and being brave enough to turn around and like look them right in the face and say like, "Can I help you?" Because in the past, if I've ever been walking and I kind of felt like someone's walking too close or like they've made the same two turns I have, can we really be going in the same direction? I tend to err on the side of caution and I'm a little bit more paranoid. So if someone's behind me for more than like 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, they're clearly following me and getting ready to attack. So, like, let me get out my keys so I can protect myself right now, right? So, if I ever feel like someone's too close behind me for too long, my go-to is to like stop, like pretend to tie my shoe, like check take out my phone to check if like I have a message or a phone call, or I'll just straight up be like, "Oop, forgot something," and like turn around to like head back in like the opposite direction that I was going to see if they really are going to keep following me. I do that. I always make sure that this person knows that I've seen them, so like if I'm walking and they're over here and I feel like okay, this person's too close, like I'll stop and I'll like make eye contact with them so that they know that I'm aware, and then I'll like go down to tie my shoe or I'll take out my phone and I'll like face it in their direction. So like you know that I'm looking at you, but I've never been brave enough to confront someone and say like, "Can I help you?" Granted, I don't know if I've ever been in a situation where someone truly was like about to attack me. Maybe the behavior that I exhibited was enough to get anybody to just like back up, but I've never felt so threatened that I felt like I had to say something. Maybe if I was threatened enough, I would, but so far in my life, knock on wood, I haven't been in a scenario where somebody was walking up that close to me and I truly felt so scared that I felt like I had to speak up and say like, "What do you want? Get away from me." But I am so happy that you were brave enough to stop them and do that, because maybe them like maybe you stopping and saying that was like just enough to like give them enough pause that when you like ran and like booked it to your house, they had to kind of, I don't know, get back in the mindset of like chasing you down to get to your house. Thank God you were able to get inside your house and lock the door. They weren't like right behind you. You know, I don't know. That's just like super creepy. I hate that so much. I'm so happy nothing happened to you. And I'm so happy that you take a different route now. Never walk that same route ever again. And if you can help it, maybe take an Uber or a taxi or something home from now on instead of walking late at night. Maybe if you can, do that. But let's read the comments. This comment is almost like another story in and of itself, but let's read how this goes. So, top comment goes, "Something like this happened to me once. I used to live a mile from my favorite nightclub and would go at 9 before cover charge kicked in and would leave around 11, 12 when I got tired of dancing my ass off. I would go alone because I knew plenty of people there. This one night on my walk home, I looked back, as I often do, to check my six and saw a man in business slacks and a button up about 2 blocks away coming up the hill. He was walking fast, but so was I. I didn't think anything of it. There were other people out, and I've lived in major cities all my adult life. There's people around. It's normal. I walk a couple more blocks and glance again. He's closer and gaining on me, fist pumping, long stride. And let me remind you, I am a fast walker. It's unusual for people to gain on me. His outfit is actually what gave me pause. He was dressed like he came home from work, and yet it's almost midnight. I decide to get on another road and cross the street. He crosses too. So I hustle and get onto a residential road. He joins me on that road, fast walking so hard I can hear him breathing. So I stop dead, turn to face him, and shout, "Why are you following me?" He stops dead under a streetlight and stares at me for a moment and then replies, "I think I know you." I absolutely did not know him. I could see him clearly, if from a distance of about a block now. "So you followed me for half a mile at night?" "No. If you know me, you would know that you could text me. Now go away." He turned and noped down the hill right away at a much slower walking pace, like he was kicking rocks. Never did get a text. I think about that weirdo a lot. Like, what the fuck? I'm glad I'm fast, sober, and outspoken. And OP replied to that saying, "Oh my gosh, that must have been a heart stopper. And having the balls to say something is a good thing in that situation. You did the right thing." Yeah, absolutely. This commenter did the absolute completely right thing, turning around, looking them dead in the face. "I'm aware of you. I'm not scared. What are you doing? Stop following me." When you let your guard down and you're not paying attention, that unfortunately is like a signal, let's say, for someone who's on the prowl to attack someone. People are a lot less likely to try to attack you when they know that you're aware of their presence. They're a lot less likely to try to pounce on you if they don't think they have the upper hand by getting you when you're not paying attention. So it definitely is important to have made that eye contact and to say something. So good for that commenter and good for OP for both, having the nerve to look at these people in the eye and say, like, "What do you want? What are you doing? Leave me alone." I'm so happy that nothing happened to OP and the commenter. But yeah, no. Please, again, man or woman, anybody, whatever you identify as, if you're walking around alone at night, please do not have both of your headphones in. Even if it's daytime, even if there are other people around, like, just don't have both headphones in and you can't hear anything going on around you. Please. For your well-being, please promise me. You promise? You promise? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, next story. I encountered a man dressed like a clown when I was walking in the woods. You see, that's why you have to avoid woods.
Hell no.
This story is also coming from Creepy Encounters. It's 7 months old from user latest1776. And story goes, this happened about 3 weeks ago and I haven't stopped thinking about it. So I go on walks every evening around 9, just in the forest near my house. Yeah, let me just casually stroll through my forest at night alone. That's your first problem. It's super close and nothing weird ever really happens there. I always take the same route, which goes along this bike path toward a bridge. So I had my headphones so I had my headphones in,
Just want to say, I told you so to a lot of people. I told you.
just walking like usual, when I see two people on horses coming my way. Not weird by itself, there's a riding school nearby, but they looked at me kind of strange. Not like mean or anything, just like they were trying to warn me. It was hard to explain, but I ignored it. A few moments later, this boy on a bike passes me. Then I see him meet some guy further down the path, and he just suddenly turns around and bikes away. Again, I didn't really think anything of it. Maybe he was just doing laps or something. But then I get close enough to see the guy, and I swear I've never seen something so weird in real life. He looked like he was around 30 or so, and he was wearing this full on clown outfit. Not a full costume exactly, but super bright green and orange clothes, a wig, those big goofy glasses, and the weirdest part, he was wearing wooden clogs. Actual clogs. So you could hear him from far away because of the sound on the pavement. I genuinely thought people were pulling a prank on random hikers or something, but the man didn't interact with me in any way. Plus, it was also getting dark, so there was barely anyone in the forest. He didn't look at me or say anything, just stared straight ahead like he was totally out of it. I think he could have been on drugs, but I don't know for sure. I passed him and acted like it was totally normal, but I was honestly kind of scared he'd turn around and do something. This has to be a man. Only a man would see that and be like, I'm just going to keep walking. I'm just going to keep getting closer to this guy. No survival instincts, truly. The only thing that made me feel okay was hearing the clogs because I could tell he was walking away. But then the clogs stopped a minute later or so, and I turned around. He was gone, like completely gone. I didn't know where he could have gone that fast. There's trees and stuff, but it's not like there's a place to hide right there. I still walk that same route every night, but I've never seen him again. Thoughts? Again, of course, this has to be a guy. Only a guy would see that and be like, not too bad, and like keep walking that same route every night just for fun. I'm telling you, any girl that I know, if any girl that I know was walking through a park leisurely and saw that, she would not walk that path ever again. I'm telling you. At the very least, she would not walk that path for like the next couple weeks. Truly, like I don't know. This is just bizarre. Remember Remember back in like, what was it? I want to say like 2009 or something, 2010, when there were all these news reports about like creepy clowns just walking around in parks and sidewalks and streets. That was a weird time. And this is very, very bizarre and very, very strange. And if I was walking around and saw a creepy clown with creepy clogs walking down the sidewalk in this forest, I would absolutely run away and never return because that's not normal behavior. So, some of the top comments here are they got some jokes, but damn, so clowns aren't allowed to exist in public anymore. God forbid a jester takes a hike. A more serious comment here says, I don't understand why the horse riders and biker didn't give you a heads up. Super weird though. I'm glad he didn't interact with you. That would have been far creepier if it can get any more so. I agree. I'm very curious as to why the horse rider and the biker didn't think to say, hey, I wouldn't go in that direction if I were you. There's a creepy clog wearing clown coming this way. Like, turn around. Because I definitely would have. If I was walking and saw that, I definitely would warn the people coming up from my direction, like, don't go that way. Something weird is happening because no. I'd feel terrible if I saw on the news, like, jogger unalived in forest by creepy clown guy. I would be very upset that I didn't warn that person. Happy you survived that encounter. Hopefully you never encounter that clown ever again. And if you do, I really hope at that point you stop walking through the forest. Maybe, maybe, maybe just for like a couple weeks. I don't know. Next story here. Am I overreacting? My stalker slash mentally ill ex showed up at my work 8 years later. This story is coming from Am I Overreacting? It's 3 months old from Avery's Sad Plant. And the story goes, hey everyone, I'm hoping to get some advice from people who might have had to deal with something similar. I was in a high school relationship for a number of years that ended 8 years ago. He broke up with me the day before my birthday because we were drifting apart. It was honestly an amicable breakup, and it was for the best. No hard feelings besides me being upset by the timing. However, about a year after we broke up, when I was in a better relationship that I'm still in now, he started messaging me again. The messages didn't make sense, It was all about him forgiving me and how he's resented me for a while and that he wanted to be friends with me and my partner. He showed up at my partner's work, repeatedly asked to hang out with us, and even sent my partner a long video of him crying and rambling incoherently.
Nope.
No way.
It was very uncomfortable, and we politely refused any further communication. I eventually had to threaten to go to the police and get my parents involved after he sent a very disturbing and graphic message basically saying he's essayed me when we were dating. He didn't do that, to my knowledge, and I blocked him on everything. After I threatened the police, he backed off. Apparently, he was in a cult for a bit and his family doesn't talk to him. I honestly felt bad that he'd gone so downhill, and that's why it took so long for me to set boundaries. That was 3 years ago. Since then, I stumbled on his Twitter once, and he's still talking about me, how I ruined his life, and other incoherent ramblings about religion and hell and how I was the devil. He mentioned he's schizophrenic. I checked the Twitter from time to time because I wanted to keep tabs on if I was in danger. He deleted the account about a year ago, and I figured I had nothing to worry about. But yesterday, he showed up at my work with a package for me. He didn't leave his name or a note. Luckily, I wasn't there, but when I came in later, I opened it to find a camera. I didn't recognize it at first, but my dad thinks it's mine from over a decade ago. It was wiped clean, no pictures. Anyway, I found out it was him from the security footage and absolutely lost my mind. Like I was crying and having a panic attack and had to leave work in the middle of my serving shift with a bunch of open tables. It was honestly terrifying. Now it's the next day, and my managers want to talk to me about next steps, but I'm starting to wonder if I've overreacted. He hasn't personally messaged me in 3 or 4 years. Maybe he was just returning my camera, but I didn't know he knew where I worked, and I can't help but feel scared knowing he had anger towards me based on his old tweets. I can hope he got mental health treatment and everything's fine, but now I feel scared going to work. Am I overthinking it? What should I do in this scenario? Girl, no, no, you're not overthinking it. For someone to be thinking about you for like 8 plus years. And, there's a chance, the best case scenario, that, he only thinks about you from time to time, maybe every couple years. He just like, ah, yes, Amy, that Amy, whatever. And in the worst case scenario, he's been thinking about you nonstop since you broke up 8 years ago. But either way, that's strange. It's strange for him to be thinking about you on and off over the years, to message your partner these like rambling, crying messages, to have a Twitter where he's calling you the devil and you've ruined his life. Now he's showing up at your work and you damn well didn't tell him where you work. So he found out that information somehow, and he's popping up to drop off a camera that you haven't had for like over a decade. He's not dropping it off because he's a good Samaritan. He's like dropping it off to be weird and creepy and to let you know that he knows where you work. So, no, you're not overreacting. Honestly, I think there are a lot of things that I would suggest for you here. First and foremost, absolutely have that conversation with your managers and tell them the situation. Tell them that you dated this guy 10 plus years ago. He's had a crazy Twitter essentially dedicated to how much he doesn't like you. He's messaged you, he's messaged your boyfriend these crazy messages, and that you are afraid for your life. You should have some kind of buddy system in place so that someone is always walking with you to and from your car when you get to work. And they should definitely not let him into the restaurant if he ever shows up. Next step from there is to secure your home. I don't know if you and your partner live together. If you do, then you need to get some kind of security system, ring camera, whatever you want, and get that installed to your front door, to your windows, to your back door. You need to clearly explain the situation to your partner so that he's fully aware and he's, being cognizant when he's entering and leaving the apartment, entering and leaving the house, the car, whatever. If you guys don't live together, I would advise that he also gets security at his place so that he's careful. I would also, in terms of like your personal security, maybe invest in like something like Incogni or Aura or something, those services online where it can essentially like wipe your existence off the internet. Because again, this guy was able to find out where you work and he drove there. Who knows what other information that he has or is going to try to get. So I would maybe invest in some kind of service like that so that you could just like wipe as much of your information off the internet as possible so that this guy can at the very least not get any more information about you. And then last, if you still have family members in your life, your parents, maybe siblings, I would tell them as well. I would tell them, be cautious when you're going in and out of your house, getting in and out of your car, lock your doors, lock your windows. Because again, my crazy ex who's reached out to me and has sent me my camera, sent crazy messages, had a Twitter about how much he hates me and I'm the devil, has come to my work to drop off a package for me. And I've like wiped the internet of like my presence. And if for whatever reason he can't get more information on me or get a hold of me, there's a chance he could try to reach out to you. So please be cautious as well. So I would take all of those steps and please be careful. Something else that I want to touch on is just because somebody is schizophrenic doesn't automatically mean that they are this crazy person who's going to, go on a rampage. Honestly, from what I understand about schizophrenia and just a lot of mental illnesses, is people who suffer from mental illnesses are oftentimes more of a harm to themselves than they are to other people. However, if these mental illnesses go untreated and, they don't have help, support, there's obviously a chance that some of these behaviors can outwardly become harmful to other people. And this guy clearly has had a fixation on you. And again, what I really find alarming is the Twitter where he's calling you the devil and how you've ruined his life. So please exercise caution and do not end up on the news, please. Please. Let's go ahead and read some of these comments. Not overreacting. This isn't normal behavior. Trust your gut. Talk to your employer about what you would like to happen if he shows up again. They should not have confirmed to him that you work there. On that, I would say, sounds like you work like in a restaurant. I could maybe see there being a higher level of security for someone showing up at like an office building, someone showing up saying, "Hey, I just gave you the name Amy, but hey, is Amy here? Can I drop this off at her desk?" They might, a receptionist might be like, "No, you can go ahead and leave it with me," or, we don't have an Amy here. Maybe you can mail it to her. But restaurant environments might just be a lot more casual. So I don't know how much blame I would put on the managers if this ex showed up and said, "Hey, Amy's a really good friend of mine. She left her camera at my house and I just wanted to drop it off here. Can you give it to her?" I could imagine that just like maybe a busy shift, they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, sure, I'll give it to her," without even thinking about it because clearly they don't know that you have a history with this person and he could very well be capable of looking completely sane when talking to other people. So I wouldn't put too much blame on them kind of confirming that you work there. They shouldn't have, but I could see how that could just totally be a mistake. But anyway, you may even want to file a police report, even if informational. Document the details, especially if he keeps showing up or tries to reach out to you. You may be able to get a no contact order. The panic attack comes from his past behavior towards you. You have reason to protect your safety. Don't downplay how you feel. And OP actually replies saying, "I ended up going to the police and they're actually taking it seriously. They're reaching out to my ex today to tell him if he contacts me or shows up at my work again, he'll be arrested. I appreciate all the comments making me realize not to downplay my feelings. That is such a relief. That is such a relief to hear that the police are taking it seriously. Unfortunately, I am one of those girls that consumes a bit of true crime. And unfortunately, there are so many cases where, unless like some kind of assault has happened, or unless like an actual threat has been made, and even in cases like that, sometimes the police still don't take as many precautions as they should. But so many times, unless something completely terrible has happened, police officers don't take things seriously. So it's really great to know that they are taking this seriously and they're going to reach out to him. They're going to let him know if he shows up again, they're going to arrest him. So that is fantastic. So I hope that you've hopefully taken some of these other things into account already. Like I said, trying to secure your home, your partner's home, maybe informed your family as well. Just everybody, please be cautious. These situations can get very crazy and scary very quickly. This story, again, is 3 months old at this point, and I really hope that nothing else has happened and he has not reached out, and I really hope he never reaches out again. Please stay safe, OP, please. And my last story here, this is coming from Let's Not Meet. It's a month old from Cupid SR, and it's titled A Woman Keeps Comparing My Little Sister to Her Unalived Granddaughter, and the stories don't add up. My mom basically got kind of forced into a friendship with this woman. She has an adult son who I've also become friends with. The very first day this woman met my mom, she immediately opened up to my mom that her granddaughter passed away 9 months ago and that her son found her granddaughter lying unalive in her bed. She said the cause of passing away was SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, which honestly should have been the first red flag because the granddaughter was around 4 years old, I think, and SIDS only happens to infants. If anything, it would have been sudden unexplained death in children, SUDC, which is extremely rare. Anyway, this woman is very clingy and constantly inserts herself into my mom's plans. She talks about how she envies my mom and she compliments my 4 year old sister a lot. She compares her to her granddaughter nonstop, and she even sniffed my sister's hair once.
What the hell is going on in here?
Obviously, this has all weirded out my mom, and she's told me my intuition is telling me to keep my family away from her. I try to be understanding because I know grief can do strange things to people. She's also neurodivergent, so maybe she struggles with social cues and boundaries. A couple hours ago, I was sitting with her son and he was showing me pictures of his family back in Utah. He comes across a photo of his niece, and at this point, he doesn't know that I already know she's passed. My mom told me beforehand because the woman said her son has PTSD and struggles with the passing. So my mom warned me not to say anything that could be triggering. Anyway, he sees the picture and says, "Yeah, this is my niece. She's passed. Everything went downhill when she passed." I comfort him, acting surprised since he doesn't know I already know. Then he adds that he found her, but then he says, "I found her in the bathtub." The mom had originally told my mom that her son found the child in bed, so now the stories don't match up at all. More context: the woman grew up in a Mormon cult and said she was running from someone when she moved from Utah to Oregon, but wouldn't say who. She also told us she watched her daughter's kids a lot, but after the daughter passed, CPS got involved and they took away the grandson, another child that her daughter had. My question is, why would CPS remove the other child if the death was truly SIDS, which is out of anyone's control? It doesn't really make sense to me. If the child actually passed in the bathtub due to lack of supervision, wouldn't that be considered neglect, and wouldn't that explain why CPS removed the other child? Between the conflicting stories, the CPS involvement, and the way she's acting toward my little sister, my mom and I both feel really uncomfortable. Are we overthinking this? or does the situation seem genuinely concerning? Yeah, the situation seems concerning. This is like a Lifetime movie in the making. Like, this woman's gonna break into your house and tie you guys up and take that little girl and like run for the hills. You absolutely should not let this woman be in your life anymore. I don't know how you know this woman, whether she's just like a neighbor that's always all up in your business, or whether maybe she's like a coworker of your mom's or something. You mentioned that your mom was basically like forced into a friendship with this woman, but honestly, being polite and pleasant and just like trying not to step on her toes is not as important as feeling secure. And this woman is acting very strange. She's, forcing herself into your mom's plans. She's hanging around you all the time. She's sniffing your sister's hair. That's not normal behavior. This woman has the right to mourn, but she does not have the right to sniff children's hair. That's bizarre and it's weird, and you need to get her out of your life immediately. It's not normal. Comments here read definitely concerning. Whenever you see stories not adding up, don't brush that aside. I would look them up in Utah and see if anything shows up in newspapers online. Also, don't doubt intuition, especially mother's intuition, because every mom has a built in survival and protection signal for her children. Another comment: you're not overreacting. Please protect your sister from this woman. OP also even replies back saying, to add to this, she's a very nice and kind lady. I can't tell if it's a facade. She's very sweet and giving. She's always giving things to me, my mother, and my sister. Is she doing this purposely to get closer to us? Yeah, I would say yeah. She's trying to come off as like nice and kind. She's trying to like insert herself. No, please do not accept any trinkets or gifts or toys. Do not accept any food. Don't you dare eat anything from this lady. Lord knows she's laced it with something. But please, no, you do not have to be friends with anybody. You really don't. There's no law. You're not gonna get arrested. There's nothing keeping you, forcing you to maintain a friendship or relationship with this person. It does not matter who she is. She could even be related to you, and you still would not have to have any type of communication with her. So, again, my advice to you is to return whatever gifts you may have accepted and to not communicate with her anymore. Don't let your sister near her. Tell your mom to block her. Get a security camera if she's like coming and hanging around your house. Tell your sister, do not talk to her, do not go near her. If she tries to approach you, run away screaming, because this woman, I'm telling you, is a Lifetime movie waiting to happen. The perfect neighbor, the perfect friend, gonna kidnap her and run off. Amber alert out for your sister. Please, no. This could go wrong in so many ways. Please don't be that person. Run away. Hide your sister. Hide your kids. Hide your wife, because they getting everybody around here. those are those are all the stories that I have today. Weirdos, creepy people. There are so many creeps and weirdos and freaks running around, and we really have to stay safe because it's just a big, bad, scary world out there. And just please, I do not want to watch the news and hear about your sister being kidnapped or your ex coming to your restaurant and going postal, all right? Please. I am so stoked for Scream, you guys. You have no idea. I don't know if you could tell. I forgot to like show my shirt earlier. I have a Scream shirt. You want to see it better? You see? I love Scream. You guys have no idea. I have like so much merch. I have mugs. I have shirts. I have like I've watched the movie a million times. I bought it on YouTube so that I could watch it whenever I want. I'll like clean the house and I'll listen to it as I'm cleaning the house, and the second it's over, I just hit replay and I go again. I love Scream. I'm stoked. I can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure having you. Please stay safe out there. Turn on those security systems. block those crazy exes. Check your six. You don't got to get ready if you stay ready. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.